Welcome to another episode of Who Got the Keys, where we are
Unlocking doors to generational wealth.
representing the R Legacy brand because I am Donna Rogers alongside my brother and co-host.
Mac Rogers, how you guys doing today? We are so excited to come to you guys with our podcast information today. Donna, what are we going to be talking about today?
So, how to start a business. We're going to be dropping some major keys on how to start a business. So
Key alert.
You thought about entrepreneurship, you thought about doing your own thing. We want to give you some keys to help you do so successfully. And so, Mac, let's dive right in. Tell the people, give the people a key on how to start a business.
You know, the first key before we go into that, I want to give a shout out to Donna for having that really big book in the background. I think it's humongous. So. But just to jump into our keys, I wanted to first key of the day when it comes to how to start. We talk about how to start a business, but I want to add a word: how to start a successful business, right? To do it the right way. First thing you need to do is to research your industry, right? You need to understand how big is the industry. So because you can go into a space where there's a couple companies that just dominate that space. So the barrier to entry is really high. So you need to know, is it a $4 billion industry? So you can know, okay, what are the different ways that we make money in this industry? You know, what are the different revenue streams that make money in this industry? And most people say, well, how do I find that information? It's very easy. There are government set up entities that are out there today that the government set up for people like me and you to go to for free and get free information. So you go to these places. One of them is called SCORE. I'm actually a SCORE mentor. I've done that in the past. And the other one is called SBDC, Small Business Development. I can't remember what the C stands for, but you go there and you ask them for what's called an IBIS World Report. That's IBIS. This report will give you all the information you need about your industry. Who are the big players? What's the projections over the next 5 years as far as the revenue? What are the threats to the industry? Is there any new technology coming into the industry? Things of that nature. So until you fully understand and research your industry to its capacity, we definitely don't advise that you go past step one or key number one in that reference. So that's the first key I want to drop on you guys today, because most people try to start a business and you don't know a lot about your industry or know a lot about business. So make sure you do enough industry research before you start your company. So with that being said, Donna, key number 2 for the day is what?
Yes, key number 2, we go back to that business plan. So we spoke about it in another episode, but the business plan is key. And those of you all that are new to this, what is a business plan? Great question. I'm glad you asked. A business plan is a roadmap of your business. And so that's where you take the time out to write down your business strategy. How are you going to do what you do in a way that only you can do it and be profitable? It should start out with your executive summary, which is a summarization of every aspect and component of the business plan, and it should be done last. Next, you want to describe your business in much detail as possible. What do you do? How do you do it? When do you do it? Where do you do it? All of those details about your business. Another component of your business plan is the organization. Who is a part of your team? What are they going to do? Who's responsible for what? What location are you going to be at? So you want to break down in detail the organization of your team. Try to create an organizational chart. What are the titles? Who reports to who? Who's authorized to do what and sign off on what checks? Next, and one of the things that's very important of a business plan is your marketing plan. Your marketing plan should be a part of your business plan. Again, we want you to check out another episode where we talk about keys and reasons why businesses fail. We know this because we have had successful businesses. We've had businesses that fail. And so we are sharing this information to help you avoid some of these pitfalls. But you want to have a marketing plan. You want to be able to do market research where you are identifying and studying in your target market, your demographics of your target market. Who are your main customers? What do they do? Why do they do it? What draws them? What provokes them to spend money? You want to be able to know who your audience is that you are speaking to. Yes, people say everyone is a customer, and that's cool, but you want to be intentional about how you target your marketing dollars based on the research that you've done. You want to do all type of analysis with that. And then another thing that's just as important in your marketing plan is your financial plan. You want to break down and do projections, what your budget is, what you project what will be coming in versus what's going out, and then what actually happens. You want the different financial statements, and you don't want it just for year one. You want it 3 to 5 years out. And so you want to have that business plan. Take a class, whether it's at a college, whether it's online, whether it's with any organization. Take a class so you can understand the different aspects of a business plan. The Small Business Association is a good reference, a good organization that does a lot of teaching on putting together a business plan. But we want you to know that it's so important that you put this plan together, not just for yourself, but just so your team can know where you're going. Your mission and vision statement should be a part of that. But also, if you plan on getting any type of loans, they're going to ask for a business plan. So major key is to make sure you have a business plan. And then really quick, Malcolm, nowadays you can also do a business model. And that's your strategy, again, of how you're making money. It's not as long as a business plan, but it should be just as precise. That's
your
business model.
That's a major key, because nowadays they're wanting one-pagers. If you can't put all your ideas on one sheet of paper and it makes sense, then I'm not going through 5 to 6 pages to read through and figure out. I'm not going to invest into it. And one of the main things I want to say is to people out there who might be thinking, okay, Donna said I need to start a business plan. Where can I get a business plan from? You can simply Google a business plan template. Or you go back to key number 1 and you go visit a SCORE location. SCORE is a nationwide entity, and they have some really, really excellent business plan templates that were put together by experts. And guess what? They'll give them to you for free, right? So now with that being said, talked about the business plan, Donna. Key number 3 for you when it comes to—
I got another key. Yes, I got another key. And so we just spoke about that business plan. And again, I mentioned if you ever want to get funding, take out a loan or go to a bank, you need a business plan, because another key is to have your finances in order. And I would say get your personal finances in order first, because what you
absolutely
will spill over into your business. That's a muscle that you want to strengthen and build up in regards to being financially disciplined. And so with your business, you need to set a budget, and you may have to make the initial contribution to start up your business. It does happen. Sometimes you can do different things to ask other people whether they want to contribute to the business for a certain percentage. That's a whole nother conversation. But you have to have your money in order. How are you going to pay for everything? First, you need to know what the cost is for everything. And so do your research on the cost, especially if you have a tangible product. You need to know the cost of how much it takes to put that product together, and who you have to pay to do what. Also, if it's a service, how much time does it take to do what you do, including the transportation to and from. And so that's a lot of things that people overlook, but that's costs that you need to take into consideration when you are putting together a budget of how much it takes to deliver your product or service. How much inventory do you need? And then you come up with that price. And so all of these need to be in your budget. How much does it cost to file the necessary paperwork? All of those different things, the monthly expenses for a website, all of those different things that you have to take into consideration. We also talked about taxes on another episode, things like that you don't know when you are new to entrepreneurship. You have to have your money in order. But first, you need to know what you need to have money in order for, so you can, in fact, get it together. Mac, you got something to add to that for the people in regards to finances?
Yeah, I do. So I'm glad you threw that over to me. So, because one of the things we talk about, and I don't want to scare people from entrepreneurship, because it can be a beautiful thing if done the correct way, especially when starting a business. Most people fail at opening the business before they even open the doors. They don't take the proper steps, which is why we're talking about it today. But in the realm of just financing, Donna hit on know all your expenses, right? Which is huge. But you also need to know who has my money, right? Who is my customer? How much are they willing to pay? Which is huge. A lot of people opening up businesses, and they typically don't target the government as being a big player, the people who they're going to get the most money from. Or if it's going to be a business, am I going to be a B2B business? Am I going to be a B2C business? Do I want to sell my services or product to another company, right? So those things are key when it comes to how to start a business. You need to identify how you're going to make money, and then you need to identify who's going to be taking my money, who do I need to pay to be able to maintain this business structure that I'm going to create. So I think that's some good keys that you hit on just that topic alone.
And we want to make sure that you all are mindful that you need to start a business account, checking account, savings account. Do not use your personal accounts. You want to try to separate business from personal as much as possible, right? And
It's
so
illegal.
you want to do your research. What bank is best for you? What are their fees? What are their features? Because you want to make sure that you with a bank that makes it as convenient as possible to do certain things. And so make sure that you set up a checking account for your business. And again, your organizational chart in your business plan will identify who is authorized to have access to the account, sign off on checks and different things like that. But you have to have your finances in order if you want to start a business and successfully grow and maintain it.
Yeah, you said something about the checkings account. So that is absolutely huge because most people, what they do is, from what I've seen from experience with different clients I deal with, is that whoever you bank with personally may not be the best bank for you to bank with business-wise. And that can really put a bottleneck on what you're trying to do. I've had in the past where I banked with a small bank and they didn't have the technology I needed to be able to streamline the processes. So I had to leave them and go to a bigger bank who had the technology. I'm a huge fan. I literally told a bank the other day, said, if your technology is not up to speed, then that's unattractive to me as an investor or somebody of my stature. So make sure that these banks have perks. And when you talk about financing a lot, make sure you're building a relationship with the bank and have a banker because those people play a big part when it comes to financing through the ups and downs and the seasonalities of businesses.
Absolutely, Mac. All right, let's share another key with the people. What's another key on how to start a business?
Key number 4, and this one is huge, is that you have to have a mentor or hire a consultant. Everybody in life who's been successful has a coach. We talked about this in the last episode. Michael Jordan had a trainer. Kobe Bryant had a trainer. LeBron has a trainer. Not only for basketball, but then he has a business partner who's his business coach. So every aspect of life, you should have a coach. So in business is no different. You need a coach. I would recommend somebody who's business orientated. Somebody you need a business coach when it comes to the financial side of your business. So you need someone to be able to put guardrails around your business who has industry-wide experience that can keep you from spending an abundance of unnecessary money. Because when you start the business, as soon as you submit with your state to file a business, you start getting calls, spam calls. Hey, you need some money, you need to advertise with me, things of that nature. And you being a new business owner, you don't know who to go with, but these coaches and consultants will tell you, this is the best source. These are my resources that you can utilize. And this is huge. And you can find these resources when it comes to mentors online. First of all, associations. Whatever industry you're in, go to that association, and they'll have mentors and their consultants that you can connect with. I'm also a huge advocate nowadays of utilizing Facebook groups because you'll have some really big companies in there with really small companies. You'll tend to see nowadays people are more open to exchanging information because the industry is so big. We're not competitors. If I'm in Chicago and you can find somebody who in Texas, we're not competing, so why not mentor me? And a lot of these bigger companies, multi-million-dollar company owners, are willing to mentor people because they plateau and they're not growing anymore, so they're willing to get back at this standpoint. So this is huge. And don't forget, I want to keep going back to this, that the government has free associations, the SBDC and SCORE set up to do some free mentoring and coaching. They'll actually help you set up a free board of directors if you really want to go to them and get involved with them. So make sure you get a mentor or coach in order to have some type of business success.
That's true. And also LinkedIn is a good source to find mentors and start some conversations with people and go to a lot of networking events. Yeah. Network. You can get a lot of doors, a lot of opportunities just based on who you know alone. And so networking is very key in finding a coach and finding a mentor and finding business partners. And so we want to make sure that we include the importance of networking when you are starting, maintaining, and growing your business. And so, Mac, I'm going to get into the next key for the people. And the next key, in addition to networking, you also want to research what type of licenses are required for your business. So going back to researching your market, researching your industry, you need to know what type of licenses are required. I'm in real estate, so we have a real estate school, our Legacy Academy. I want to get that plug, right? We had to have a license for it. I had to have a license as a real estate instructor, and just anyone cannot teach a real estate licensing class. Then the school had to have a license. And then we had the real estate brokerage. We had to have a different license for the real estate brokerage. And then we had to have real estate managing broker license. It's so many different licenses right, for the type of businesses that we're in. Mac, you had a moving company. What type of license did you have to have for that?
Well, it's different type of licenses that you need. I'm glad you hit on that too, because one of the things that just hit my mind was saying that if you get the wrong license, it really can bottleneck your business, right? It can hold you back in the moving industry in certain states. It can take you up to 6 months to get a license. So you need to come in and in your business plan identify what these licenses are and make sure that your license fit your business need at that standpoint. Because in the industry that I was in historically, the 6-month license was on the residential side, but I only needed one license. I could get a license in a month that was on the commercial side. So it's a lot of things that when you're researching and doing your due diligence and understanding your industry, it tells you what licenses you need to go to the next level. And licenses are in place not only as a safety net for the business, but it's a protection for the consumer. It actually teaches you the do's and don'ts of your industry and the best practices and habits. So, and the process of you getting your license, typically you will find gatekeepers and people along the way who can help advise you for free to ask these type of questions when it comes to trying to get things done.
And also, it's like having a degree in your industry, right? It solidifies you, it validates you. It says, hey, I've done the work, I've done the training. And also, I want to add on something to a license, and you want to make sure you get the proper license for your business type and for where you're trying to grow. So in your business plan, you may put year 1, we're going to get this type of license, but if you want to expand out, again, we're in real estate. So if I want to go to certain states and expand out, which we do, then I got to get a different type of license in that particular state, right? But I want to add on something with a license. You want to identify what type of license you need, and you want to make sure that you get business insurance. You want to cover yourself. So that business license, that business insurance, you want to make sure that you get everything as a safeguard for the business type that you are in. You want to make sure you cover yourselves if there are issues with customers. And it happens to all of us. I don't know no business that exists that has never had, just a bad experience with a customer. And it's how you respond to it. But you want to make sure you cover yourself for liability. That's big. In whatever industry you're in, there are different types of insurances, policies available for your business. So get that license and get that insurance. You have anything on the insurance part, Matt?
Insurance is high as hell right now. Across the board, it's crazy. You mentioned insurance is like 30-40% higher than what it used to be historically, but insurance is important. It saved me a lot with my business when we did have a lot of issues that came along with, I was in the trucking industry and I did business in real estate. Things tend to happen randomly, but people just don't pay attention, and boom, you have an accident. But insurance is there to help cover up for that accident financially, so you don't have to spend as much money. So when it comes to insurance and licensing, you have to make sure you get a good AAA insurance provider. You don't want to get an insurance provider who's not, the best at what they do, because when a claim comes along, they're gonna be cheap, and then you file a claim, and now you're not only fighting against the claim, man, I gotta fight the insurance. It's not worth it. So pay the extra dollars to get the good insurance. And then we talk about licensing within the industry, but you also gotta make sure you have your business licensing. So certain states have different licenses that they want you to have to even open up a business, and it comes in, as well as when it comes to coding, right? Certain zoning and coding in certain areas, the type of business you want to open up, you want to make sure you get all that down pat, because each one of these have their own process and how they'll approve you to get a license, or the type of insurance. So your industry might require a type of insurance, but you go into a zoning area to say, no, you need more insurance because it's more liability, because it's really right. So you need to make sure you understand those things. That's one of the things, Donna, too, that happened a lot during the pandemic, where licensing got bagged up, right? It got bagged up huge, where they couldn't turn them around a lot, and it held up a lot of projects. So you want to identify these things early and start making these connections, so you'll be able to push a lot of things to do. So one of the things that Donna does well, in my opinion, is that you're good at relationship building. So when things happen and get held up, Donna sometimes picks up that phone call, and next day she got that certification, that license, that permit that needs to be passed for the project to proceed.
Absolutely, relationships. And so, Matt, give the people another key on how to start a business.
Yeah, this is one of the most important keys. Is you need to understand and decide on the best business structure for your company, right? Especially if you want to have partners. So, I would say I'm not legal. I'm not an attorney.
Yeah, we have to get that disclaimer. We're not attorneys. We're not going that route.
Right, but it's a different structure. Exactly. So most people, and I'll talk about this portion of it, but seek legal advice. If you don't want to pay for legal advice, go to SBDC. They'll connect you with a lawyer who works with them, right? For free. They give you free advice. But most people tend to say, hey, get your LLC, get your kids an LLC, things of that nature. And the LLC is not the end all be all, right? Because you get an LLC and you got to file it as an S Corp or a C Corp. And then is the LLC better than LP for your business? Now you have which most people don't know about, Don, is that now they have something out called triple LP. So you need to figure out, should you be incorporated? Are you going to be a sole partnership? You need to figure out which structure is the best for your business, especially if you're going to have partners. You need to understand and put together your operating agreement. This is huge. It's something that me and you, Don, we talked about this last week. Your operating agreement is what saves you. LLC is what sets your business up and keeps you from tax liabilities and things of that nature. Tells your business how to file taxes, basically. But the operating agreement is the most important document. It tells you who owns what's everybody roles in the business, what happens if somebody dies in the business, where do their shares go, what happens if somebody wants to sell their portion of the business, who gets the right of first refusal to buy these type of things, how do you handle money, what kind of business bank account do we have, credit card. All of these things need to be talked about when it comes to setting up your business in order to be successful. You don't want to run a business and out the gate, you guys are making $100, $200, $500,000 and no operating agreement, and your business partner runs off with all the money, and then you have no legalities to go out there and seek legal advice for them. So you get all these things done initially, have those tough conversations. What is the business structure? Let's talk about the operating agreement. Who's responsible for what? Who's the managing member? Who's responsible for the day-to-day activities? So you keep your guys from having problems in the end. And you'll see that it makes everything run smoother because not everybody can run in their own lane, right? In basketball, they say, hey, win your matchup. Be a star in your role is what they say in basketball and sports. Be a star in your role. And in business, you have to be a star in your role. And in order to figure out, instead of figuring out the pros and cons of your partner later on, figure it out initially. Let's see if we work well. Let's see if we're on the same page online mentally.
So just to reiterate, you definitely want to know what type of structure you're setting up for your business. And again, you want to seek an attorney, you want to seek an accountant because there's certain tax stipulations that's strictly based on the structuring of your business. And so that's so very important. And just to go into that, the next key that we have that Mal spoke about is having a documentation in order. And yes, starting with that operating agreement. A part of the documentation is that business plan. Whether you are a for-profit or not-for-profit, and that's a bonus key that I'm personally throwing in. That's someone who has started and managed not-for-profits and been on so many different boards, whether for-profit or not-for-profit, because even though you think about a not-for-profit is more mission-driven for the greater good of the community, you still have to operate it like a business because you still have some of the same bills, right? Yeah. And so you want to have the paperwork in order with an expectation on both ends, who is doing what, right? And so whether it's a joint venture, sometimes you may do temporary partnerships in certain just particular aspects or certain aspects of your company, just so you and another company can grow together. And so it's different things that you can set up, but paperwork, have everything in writing. And that helps because you don't have to assume anything. Everyone has everything in writing. All of our understanding and comprehensions of things may be different. How I may communicate versus how a person receives what I'm trying to communicate may be interpreted totally different. And what helps is to have it in writing. It doesn't have to be a you said, I said. This is what we said in writing. You want to have your documentation in writing. And so once you have your documentation in writing, once you have that business plan, once you have that operating agreement, then you can move to the stage of incorporating your business. And so you got to do your research to see how your state or your government entity or whatever the case may be, what the process is to incorporate. Depending on what type of business, once you get the corporation, you may have to do some additional steps. You may have to file and register with the Department of Revenue. All of these different entities you have to make sure. And if it's a non-for-profit, you may have to file with the Attorney General office before you solicit it for funding, right? And so it's different steps that you need to take to now legalize your business.
Yeah, so absolutely.
That's when the government recognizes you as a legal established business. And so it's so important first that you do all your research. You try to get everything in order because now you established, now they're going to be reaching out to you for filing your taxes, filing your annual business reports with the government. And so there's different things in different states. And so, but you want to now get all of those incorporation documentation in order, have a copy on file. Whoever else is a partner, they should be able to access this documentation as well. But that is so very important that you get your documentations together. And sometimes they may require certain, again, licensing, proof of insurance, all of that. Have all of your paperwork and your documentation together, and that's a major key of starting a business.
And I'll say this too, because Donna, you mentioned earlier in the key when you talked about financing and opening up a bank account. When it comes to documentation, you're going to need to set up your, like you mentioned, operating agreement. You're going to need to get everything filed with the state. You're also going to need to have your EIN number. So you need these things in place before you go to the bank and say, hey, I need to open up an account. They're not going to let you do it. And some of them don't even schedule appointments with you. Say, hey, I need these documentations. So they put them on file to cover their butts.
Matt, what's the EIN number for the people who've never heard of this?
It's an employment identification number. It's basically, I don't want to use the word social security number. It's a number that's tied to your business for tax purposes, right?
It's like a business social security number, right? Humans have social security numbers, properties have PIN numbers, businesses have EIN numbers.
Yeah,
so metaphorically speaking, yes.
Yeah, it is. And I'll say this too, right? And I'm going to drop this as a bonus within this specific topic that we're talking about as a key. Not only at some point, you're going to regardless need to have an EIN number. But another thing you're going to need document-wise, you're going to get there, right? This is what I want you to do to be successful. You're going to have to get a DUNS number. A Dun & Bradstreet number is what you're going to need to get. And at some point, you're also going to need to have a cage code, right? One of the things that we didn't talk about that I want to loop back in here is that you need to understand what your Nexus code is for your business. It's NACIS. So look that up, figure out what that is for your business, because we want to set you guys up to be able to make as much money as possible. So you need to get this documentation done early. I failed to do this with my first business, and we were 6-7 years in. I had to go back and get my DUNS number, get my cage number, and set up and figure out what my Nexus code was. When in reality, I could have done all these things up front when I was establishing my business, and I could have got more government contracts than I already had, right? Which brings me to our bonus key.
Our bonus key, right?
Yeah, we always typically try to leave you guys with bonus information outside of the information that we've already provided you guys, which is huge because a lot of stuff you can't find in that. And if you do, it's so vague, they're giving you just terrible stuff, right? Internet is sometimes a joke with some of the content that they leave. But the bonus thing that you need to do for your business, and you need to figure out for your business right away, right? Before you open up the doors, is figure out what kind of business certifications do I qualify for. Now, when it comes to these business certifications, these things include, you can get your MBE, Minority Business Enterprise, which is huge. I had this to help me get a lot of contracts with a bunch of different municipalities. Are you a disadvantaged business? Are you a woman-owned business? Are you a veteran-owned business? Are you a hub zone business? These different certifications, there are contracts with the government. And I want to say this here. The government is the biggest buyer in the world, not the nation, the world. So you want to make sure that you get these certifications, so these contracts that are carved out for you, you can put yourself in a position to leverage not only your credit, but these certifications to put your business on the right track to be as successful as possible. One of the things, Donna, I found out with my business before I started these contracts is that every major Fortune 500 company partners with the government. Never knew it. Amazon, FedEx, all these major companies, they're not targeting me and you. They're targeting the government because it's guaranteed money. What this does for you is it gives you the ability to stabilize your business. But what it also does is it brings your business a lot of value when you're trying to exit, right? When you're trying to exit your business, they look and say, what kind of contracts do you have in place, right? And that's where your multiple comes in place. So make sure you look and see what business certifications you qualify for. That is the major key for today.
Yes. Major key for today, as Max said, is getting that business certification. If you're a minority, woman-owned, veteran-owned, disabled, there's all type of certifications that you want to take advantage of as many as possible, because there is money set aside strictly for certain certifications. And a lot of times when we're out networking with these different government and city entities, they talk about the fact that there's a shortage of particularly minority-owned businesses with certifications to get this money. Guess what? You may want to partner with a big Fortune 500 company. They look for minority certified companies that they can come and bring on as one of their vendors, as subcontractors. So they may get grant money, but to meet a certain stipulation of quota, they have to bring a minority company in to help do the work. And so they're looking for us. That's a
That's
great way to
huge.
build a partnership, right? And so if you ever see like vending events where you can go out, money matching events where you can go out and talk about your services with other companies. Now they may be the primary company to get that grant, but they're always looking for subcontractors, particularly minority subcontractors, because it's a good look for them. Get those certifications. And I'm going to tell you something, Mac. I didn't even know that for profits can get so much and have so much access to grant money, just like non for profits, right?
Yeah.
And so you want to diversify your streams of income in your business. And a lot of people overlook the power of grant money. As Max said, it's normally large amounts of money. A lot of times it's over years. And so they want to
Trillions.
continue to do business with you. Once you in if you show up. And
Oh
so it's
yeah.
a good thing. And it's a successful, it's a resourceful tool to use, but it's something that so many people overlook, particularly in the Black and Brown community, particularly in the women community when it comes to entrepreneurship, to have access to all of these financial resources. And so that's a major, major key that
And you
we
know
just
what?
in
I want to say
regard.
something too, Donna, that you hit on because now you're getting my wheels turning. I want to make sure we give our viewers this information. Not only do these primes look for us, I'm going to tell you something too. When I got my certifications, the primes came knocking on my door. They started looking for me. These big corporations came looking for me because I was a part of certain associations. But a major thing for small businesses, for minority-owned businesses, or people that have these certifications, is that it's contracts out there called set-asides. And these big businesses can't touch these small business set-aside contracts. So what they'll do is say, hey, let's partner together as a joint venture, like Donna mentioned, and say, hey, you can be the prime. We can supply you with some of the resources and staff. We just want to make sure that we're bringing in an extra source of revenue. So position yourself to be successful so that you can leverage
Yes,
these certifications is the key that I
yes.
want to mention to you guys.
That was some good stuff. We dropped some major keys today on how to start a business. It may seem like a lot, but you can do it. You're here. You finished listening to this entire episode for a reason. We hope, if anything, this empowers you, this motivates you. You can do it. And so make sure you listen again if you need to, just to break it down on what it is that you need to do to get started. But we believe in you, so you believe in you, so you can do it. And so, Malcolm, any closing thoughts for the people on this episode of Who Got the Keys?
Closing thoughts. I don't have any, man. We dropped a lot of content today. We
We
talk
did.
about this offline all the time, but I wish we had this resource when I started because maybe I didn't run into some of the issues that I had. So you guys go out there and be successful. We'll be around for the next episode. Check us out next time on Who Got the Keys? Who Got the Keys? We Got the Keys. See you guys next
Yes.
time.
Check us out. Make sure you check up our books. And if you want to apply for our dads, in memory of our dad, the John P. Rogers Real Estate Scholarship, be sure to do so on our whogotthekeys.com and whogotthekeys.podcast.com websites if you're a minority looking to get into the real estate industry. Thank you again for another episode of Who Got the Keys. We just unlocked some more doors to help you build your generational wealth. Till next time.
Peace.
Who got the keys? Who got the keys? Who got the keys? Do